Hello, welcome. This is Zoid YouTube channel update. Well, this is more an update about what I'm up to. Well, I have a very cool new membership that's about to open up. What is a membership? It's where you pay me money every month and you get access to all the stuff I've made, which is courses. So £37 a month is how much my membership is going to cost initially. If you get in there early, you get that early low rate, £37 a month. What do you get? You get sessions with me twice a month. Zoom sessions where you can join me, get track feedback, and you get access to the online courses that I made, the foundations of electronic music making, the music theory for electronic music makers, the release countdown program, which is going on at the moment, which is a 10-month program. You get all of that, which is access to all the recorded material in that. That program's ongoing. We're like a third of the way through, but you can watch the sessions which help you to get your music together in many ways and get it released at the end of the process if you want. You follow that along on your own. You don't have to do the courses chronologically. Of course, you can just dip in and out. Say you want to learn about chords, jump in and do the sessions on chords, track structure, sound design. You know, there's so much stuff that I've made. It's a huge library of lessons and content, and you get access to it all for £37 a month. If you stop paying, then you don't have access. It's not lifetime access, it's just monthly access for £37 a month. Did I mention it's £37 a month? So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that because I think a lot of people should jump in and do that and find out, you know, what cool stuff I've been teaching. Because you probably know this, but maybe you don't know this. I'll just tell you about me. Probably some people won't know, but some people probably do know, but you can hear it again because it's such a great story, because I love talking about me because that's the best subject in the world when you talk about yourself. I'm only joking. I am a musician. I'm 46. I was born in 79, right? So I got into music when I was 12 for the first time, which was in 1991. Is my maths right? 1991, I saw my friends were learning guitar. At that time I was 12. My friend Rob and Greg, who lived on a road about a mile from my house, they had guitars and they were learning guitar. And I actually wanted to learn the drums. I was like interested in rhythm. I heard my cousins like tapping rhythms and stuff. I was really interested in rhythm. And I wanted to learn drums, but I asked my parents, can I learn drums? And they were like, drums? That's like very loud and expensive and all, and where would you put them and all the rest. So they were like not keen on the drums. So I was like, what about guitar? And one of my friends had a spare guitar, so they were like, yeah, sure. So I borrowed an acoustic guitar, and straight away I was like playing it loads. I like surpassed my friends in about like a week, I think it was, because I actually practiced. I went for some lessons with a guy near my house, and I practiced. And I got better after a few months. So, you know, after 6 months, I think my parents were like, okay, we'll buy you a guitar. So I got an electric guitar, Aria Pro 2, white one, loved it. And then I played loads of guitar. I was really into Jimi Hendrix then. When I was 13, 14 years old, Jimi Hendrix, practice. It's like playing probably like hours every day. And then when I was like, when I was about 14, then I was like getting past the Jimi Hendrix phase. I like listened to every Jimi Hendrix song loads of times, and then I was like, what's next? You know, what's better than Jimi Hendrix? So you start to find jazz is the next thing. So I was like Django Reinhardt, all those guys, Wes Montgomery then. I remember Wes, I was like initially not impressed. I was like, well, he's not playing that fast. Because like speed was everything. When I was like 14, I just wanted to hear the fastest player in the world. But I did realize then, it's the lines, it's the melodies. But about that time, I was getting into jazz myself. I was also introduced to electronic music. I got into electronic music when I was probably 15. Me and my friend Donal, somewhere we got a Goa trance tape. That was the first electronic music we heard. It was terrible music, but it had like the, build-ups and breakdowns with like sound effects like springs going boing, like really silly beats. But it was still kind of a foot in the door of it. And then after a while, that's when I made friends with Derek and Alan Dobbin when I was like around 15. So they were really into techno, guys who lived in my estate. Alan Dobbin was a brilliant DJ, one of the best DJs I'd ever heard. Like, he really was amazing. So he introduced me to techno. I used to go to his house after school every day. Every day for months and months and months and months. He had like 4,000 records at that time. He had a small bedroom and it was just records everywhere. Desk with turntables and a mixer and just ashtrays and smoking. Good times. And every day he'd be like, here's a new techno record you've never heard from Japan or from Berlin or from the UK, or it was like downwards. It was like Jeff Mills, Detroit stuff, It was a great education, and he taught himself this. He'd just been buying records and just going to record shops, and that was how you learnt in those days. You went to a record shop and you just listened and bought some. And I remember the first day I went to buy records in town, and I came home and bought about 6 records, including Slam, Positive Education, and Adam Bear double pack. What else? Maybe Hiko, Lax. I can't remember, but there was good stuff, right? And Alan was like so pissed off because the first time I go record shopping, I buy a bunch of good stuff, and he had to spend years buying like shit records before he knew what was good. So he was so angry. He's like, I can't believe this, because you have me, you got to save so much time, just straight to the good stuff. Hilarious. He was a funny guy. He was really, he is, I don't know, not into music anymore, not really in touch with him, but he taught me everything I know about techno. Not everything, but, I met Eamon Doyle, the D1 guys. So I started making music then. After a year or two, that's really my nature. Is just like, I'm listening, I'm like, how do I make this music? I was 15, 16, I was just like hearing this incredible music, so inspired by it. And I was like, we have to be able to make this music. Alan was like, no, wait, you'd need 100,000 pounds, it was pounds back then, 100,000 pounds to buy a studio to make the music. I was like, no, there must be a way. So I got, my parents were like, we'll chip in half. You spend money on a synthesizer and we'll chip in half towards it. So I got a Yamaha CS1X. Can't remember how I found it, but it wasn't that expensive. It was like a few £100. My parents went halves on it with me, and I got this blue synth. And I had a PC at home, desktop PC, and a cracked copy of Cubase. And I went to work figuring this out. And I could have 16 different parts coming from using this one synth. I could have 16 basic, terrible MIDI sounds, general MIDI, on 16 tracks. Or I could have, combine 4 of them into a more complex sound and have 4 more complex sounds or whatever. But I could have beats and a bass line and chords. I could sequence music. I could make something that sounded like techno with this one synth and Cubase. And I was playing these first tracks to my friends in the car and stuff on tapes. I remember Alan being like blown away. I can't believe it's possible. And he also got a CS1X then. He also got Cubase. I showed him how to do it. He started making tracks. He started making amazing music as well. And not as well. It wasn't amazing music at the time we were making. It was just full of the joy of discovering it is what it was. I still have those early tapes. I've released some of it, the early tape stuff on my Bandcamp. It wasn't the very first tracks. It was a little bit later on. But I made some tapes, test run tracks. I called it Window, my first tape. And they went around and people did listen to them, in the early days. People did copy the tapes and pass them around. Some people I meet, they still have some of those early tapes from the mid-90s. And some tape got to Eamon Doyle, some tapes got to Decal, Alan and Dennis, who were doing great things at the time. And Alan and Dennis, one day, via a mutual friend, they sent their Roland TB303 to me. You know, they never met me. They just heard my tape. They were like, this guy sounds like he could use a TB303. And they sent it via Jamel. Jamel delivered to my school a TB303 in a bag, in a plastic bag. And was like, Alan and Dennis want you to have a lend of this. And I was like, what the actual fuck is going on? It was like being given $1 billion. Like just madness, just like absolute, like what the hell. So, but I brought that home with me, and they didn't include a power supply. They thought I knew what I was doing, which I didn't. So I just had the TB303, batteries. Don't think the batteries worked. Battery compartment was all acid leaked or something, but I did not have a 9-volt adapter, but I did have a mixer that had a 15-volt adapter. So being incredibly stupid, I was like, maybe I'll just plug in the 15-volt adapter into this TB303, and turned it on. Pew! Blew it. It did not work again until, oh my God, I was so embarrassed and so just so that I barely was able to redeem myself, because we knew this guy called Stephen Hughes, who was like a electronics genius, and I put them in touch, and they brought it to his house, and it was like the kind of early days of the internet, and he was like, maybe I can download the schematics of the TB303, and he did get the schematics, and he found, and he just replaced a part in it, and it worked again. And I was so relieved, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, thank God. And later on, they lent it to me. It was Dennis McNulty's, so he lent it to me a couple more times after that. I used it to make tracks like Acid Leaves, featuring Bruce Morley. And yeah, later on I did get Donica Costello of D1 and Minimize to service the 303. I got it, like he cleaned it up, and yeah, it was in better shape after that as a little thank you. But yeah, great guys. But back to Eamon Doyle of D1, he heard my tape and he was like really generous. He was like, come into the studio in D1. I worked on tracks in there. Nothing ever got released, but later on, my first album in 2007, Zoid versus the Jazz Musicians of Ireland Volume 1, that was a joint release on my label Diatribe and D1 Recordings, which is like the Irish techno label. And then Diatribe went on after that to be more jazz, contemporary music. I left it. It's run by Nick Roth and my brother Matthew Jacobson. It's the biggest contemporary music label in Ireland now, but I don't have anything to do with it. I left. I was more focused on electronic music, running my school, Ultimate School of Music, and then I moved to Bristol. So, also went to Red Bull Music Academy in 2006. Was it? Yeah, 2006 in Melbourne. The lecturers were like Derek May and Sound Murderer and Music, Mike Paradinas, all these. Who else was there? Yeah, Hyperdub. Code 9 was there. I mean, it was just so many great people that I met there. And among the participants, it was Flying Lotus, Nina Kravitz. Aloe Black was a participant. It was mad. I mean, I look back at like who was a participant, Clara Moto. There was all these people, sometimes it's like, whoa. What was like the secret sauce to just like getting really big? But I didn't figure it out. But yeah, I think personality wise, I was very, just didn't really connect easily with people. So I kind of held myself back. Wasn't good at networking or anything like that. So I've just always been doing my own thing really, and just trying to push my own sound. So I would very gradually, very slowly, I started my own label, Zoid Tracks, just putting out releases, doing remixes, playing. I've still played jazz a lot. I mean, like over these times, since I was 14, I started playing until now I'm 46. It's nearly 30 years now. Well, I started when I was 12, so over 30 years. Over 30 years I'm playing guitar. I'm still practicing every day. I'm understanding music at a much deeper level, through all the jazz and the electronic music, the sound design, the production. I'm getting better. It's all falling into place. And all along the whole time, I'm like teaching people. I'm learning how to teach people, mentor people, get the best out of people. I'm mentoring 6 electronic music makers at the moment for the last 3 months in my 10-month mentorship program. And they're really benefiting from this program, the structure of it, the work they're doing. It's really brilliant to see that. I feel like that is an important role that I have to play, mentoring people, and I'm really looking forward now to like getting more people in with this it's not a mentorship, it's a membership, just to like meet people, to have some people discover me, come into this world, this community that I'm making, the Discord community, the courses that I'm making, to learn from me with the experience that I outlined, all these different things from the 90s, playing in clubs like the Funnel for Eamon Doyle and Decal, and the jazz. It's an unusual path that I took, so I delved really deeply into a lot of music, jazz, classical music. My new album, Industrial Wind Quartet's like, written for wind quartet and electronics, and it's a live performance soon. And I have experiences that are rare in the world of electronic music, and I can translate it into a form that's easier to understand, I think. I've got like my own inspiration as a teacher be like Nadia Boulanger. She was like a teacher in Paris, and she taught the cream of the crop of composers and players in the world. People like Stravinsky, Ravel, Gershwin, great jazz musicians like Duke Ellington. Like everybody went to Paris to study with her. I'm like, I want to be her in the electronic music world, but also make great music as well. So that, big goals. I'm very ambitious. I'm going to keep making music every single day and teaching people. It's what I do. I live and breathe it. So if you want to jump on board, love to see you there. More news coming soon about the membership, but in the meantime, hope you enjoyed this long and rambly video about my journey. And let's do another video soon. I don't know what it's going to be about, because I just think of stuff and then I say it all out. So there you go. Now I'll see you very soon. Nice one. Bye.